Psychedelics are drugs. Most of them interact with the serotonin system in the brain. So serotonin is a very important neurotransmitter in the brain, involved in mood, in arousal, and other aspects. So it's a global neurotransmitter. Most psychedelics interact with the system, activating or deactivating its effects. Examples for that are LSD, MDMA or ecstasy, THC, cannabis. There are natural substances like psilocybin. Depends on the drug itself. So some affect the perceptual system, so that you have hallucinations, for example. It might be perceptual hallucinations, might be motor hallucinations. Others interact with the emotional system, with the mood system, and then you have certain feelings, strong feelings, positive or can also be negative ones. And there are also drugs that interact with the cognitive system, so that your thinking is influenced. The serotonin is widely distributed in the brain, and so different of these drugs have different angles of attack to the system depending on the receptors. In short-term use, usually there are no lasting effects of these drugs. So sometimes if you use high doses of that, then there might be stronger effects. So they might develop some tolerance for these drugs, and then you need even higher doses to have similar effects. For example, it's MDMA, with you use very high doses, or for a longer period of time. Blood metabolism in the brain is reduced. Oxygen consumption, oxygen levels in the brain are reduced in different brain areas, and this is also related to cognitive functions. Cannabis use also has been shown to be related to some reduction in gray matter volume in the limbic system, amygdala, hippocampus, mainly in adolescents and in young people. So in adults, there is not too much data about that. But again, it's more the case with repeated use, long-term use, or high-dose usage. And of course, if these effects occur, then the whole system is affected by that. These effects that I mentioned that these drugs have on the mood, on perceptual level, on memory, also make it interesting for medical treatment. So there are diseases, PTSD, for example, you want to reduce memories for past events. So this could help to remove such memories. Depression is another disease. Anxiety, where you want to induce positive moods. So to activate the serotonin levels, and then these drugs can also help. Typically, they are applied in very controlled settings by medical doctors, and often also in combination with psychotherapy. Right? So to support the psychotherapy and to facilitate it, and then there are very good effects. Important it is that it's controlled, and that you always balance the effect that you want with the side effects these drugs have. And the more severe the disease is, the more you tolerate the side effects. The same is here with treatments using this type of drugs. Not heard about that. I can estimate what that means. So that it is a long-term effect of misuse of these drugs, similar to what I mentioned before. So when you repeatedly use it, then that's a system, the way it adapts for the use.
Exactly.
And then the transient perceptual changes that occur with the use of the drugs get settled and more and more steady. So it has to be less with tolerance, I think, but more with sensitivity. So by exceptionally high doses, this system is sensitized. weaker stimuli also in the environment that are natural might induce much stronger effects on the research.
Interesting. Yes.
Yes, that's of course an issue. So we have to distinguish between medical research and other type of research. So in the medical field, of course, it's very well controlled. Each medical study has strong restrictions to do that. You always need to show that the positive effects will outweigh negative effects. In the normal research field, it's less controlled, but still there are ethical considerations. If you do research with such drugs, you have to involve ethics committees because you never can exclude risks for participants. And the risks must weigh less than the knowledge that you can gain from that. And usually in any kind of basic research outside medicine, no such risks would be tolerated. If there are risks, no ethics committee would agree to that, only if there's some medical reason behind that. So I think research on that is rather difficult, probably in some countries less than in countries like Germany. But I think we could not do that here, and we wouldn't do that here, because we could not foresee really what long-term effects might be. I think here's an opportunity to share my knowledge. I hope.
Absolutely.
It's good if you have some knowledge about that, if you can spread the knowledge and then do some informed discussions on that. I don't want to say don't use it, no, but you should know what you do. Should not.
Yes.
Certainly more dangerous drugs than those. But even with those, as I did before, typically they are not used in isolation, particularly at parties. And you have also alcohol and other drugs. And this is something that is really dangerous because we don't know much about the interactions of different drugs.
Quite so.